Good evening, good people out there listening. You have just tuned in to Tell Me More Radio with Tom Shadyac. I'm your host, Jasmine Houston, and we have quite a few people in the studio with me. And we also have a dog, and I think it's Keon's dog, and it looks like it's bigger than me, but I'm going to just act like
He's
there's
friendly.
nothing going on, and I hope he doesn't come over here.
He's a bear.
Because I'm going to fall out my chair. But anyway, how y'all doing today in the studio?
Hey.
We're doing great. How are you?
What's up? Let's deal with it.
Let's deal with it. But I'm doing pretty good today. Actually, I just ate some greens and some cabbage, so I'm feeling kind of good right now.
Alkaline.
But anyway, let's get this thing started. So last week we did a show on knowledge of self, and it went a really nice direction, but I wanted to play some clips, and we didn't get a chance to play them, so we're going to do a part 2 of this show. And so if you guys would like to chime in and give your opinion or your facts about what knowledge of self means, please do so by calling us at 901-260-5926. All right, so I'm going to start off with the definition that I found, and we're going to go from there. So the definition that I got was from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary online, just something quick and simple. And it says, knowledge of self is knowledge or understanding of one's own capabilities, character, feelings, or motivations. And I think that that's a pretty good basic definition that is good enough to start us off with the show. And so just based on this dictionary, my interpretation of it is just knowing first your capabilities, meaning what you can do regardless of what limitations people put upon yourself. And so that's something I'm still trying to work through myself, trying to realize that I am a being of infinite potential, regardless of what other people think. So that's the first thing. And then feelings or motivations. And so that's another good thing that you have to get inside yourself to understand why you're feeling these ways. And if it's a problem or you're going through something emotionally, what caused it? And so that's also something I have to go through a lot. And the last one is just motivations. And that's a really, really, really important one to me, because once you set an intention, you have to deal with the consequences of it. So it's like what people refer to as karma. So it's what you put out, you get it back. So if you have ill motivations and ill intentions, then you might want to get prepared for what's coming back to you. So people in the room, what is y'all's definition of self-knowledge?
I'm still trying to discover it. I'm unsure. I'm in the process of finding myself every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the process of finding myself every day. And in doing so, I realized that I've hidden myself from myself, if that makes sense. I've projected the societal driven goals or persona of how I should be, instead of being just me. So every day I'm learning to be just be, if that makes sense.
Man, that I told you like the bigger version of me, because
Thanks.
that's Jazora that was talking. I'm just playing. I just gave her the name, but that was Zipporah. And the things where she said about she's trying to figure out herself, I'm going through the same thing. And constantly I'm trying to just be, because I know that I'm greater. But when you are affected by different people's emotions and societal views, it's kind of hard for you to just be, because you're trying to be everything that everyone is trying to tell you to be. So anyone else want to chime in before we play the first clip?
Well, knowledge of self to me encompasses not only finding self within the self, but it also encompasses your sign, your numbers, understanding your name as a number, vibrations, understanding your gifts. Everybody has, like you said, infinite potential, and it's on you to tap in, but society teaches you to look outside of yourself. And so, like I said, you're switching from electric to magnetic all day, every 2 hours. And you lose 1 billion dead cells every 24 hours. So you're always regenerating yourself. And so,
all right. So you kind of jumping ahead of me. So just we're gonna save those thoughts for after this clip. So, Jess, could you play clip 1, please?
The popular notion is that we must do, act, or vote. And it seems most folks want just someone to tell them what to do, so they don't have to think too much on their own. The question is, what are we really able to do if we don't even know ourselves? What is humanity? Yes, we are all one. But are we all truly the same inside, seeing, thinking, feeling the same way? Who is to say what is good for the world and what is not? The issues the world faces, the destruction, greed, genocide, economic meltdown, cannot and will not be resolved until man faces himself and does the work to gain self-knowledge beyond worship of the ego. Humanity is deeply conditioned through culture, society, religion, media, nationalism, education, government, and all kinds of illusionary beliefs. Before we can offer any solutions, we need to become aware of this conditioning and do the work necessary to truly understand ourselves with our mechanical reactive behaviors, emotional addictions, and our biases to automatically reject information that conflicts with our worldview. Honest self-work takes effort and courage, as one will have to confront the social conditioning and programming, as well as the lies one is telling oneself in order to fit in. If one is sincere with oneself, this process will lead inevitably to confront the lies in the world, and one starts to see the world more as it is, not as one likes it or assumes it to be. This results in a rise of consciousness and awareness, moving from subjectivity to a more objective view, letting go of the false conditioned self and embracing one's higher self based on truth, knowledge, and essentially love, which is a higher state of being and not merely an emotional state. The more we see ourselves and the world objectively, the wiser our choices become, and our resulting actions will have lasting positive impact. This work is to be done within and without, for both are interconnected. Much like when Neo woke up in the film The Matrix, the view is not necessarily pleasant once the illusions, buffers, and programs have been dislodged. Only truth will set us free. Once we can see, especially the unpleasant aspects of our reality so many people like to ignore, we'll have a better understanding of what to do.
All right, y'all.
Wow.
So, well, you like that clip, huh?
It was heavy.
All right, so this is called Tell Me More Radio, so I'm going to take a slightly different approach tonight. So I'm going to give like my thoughts towards the end, but what I want to do is learn more from you guys. So I'm going to ask a few questions that were based from the video, off the video. So the first thing that I got from the video was he said, do most people want to be told what to do so that they don't have to figure it out? Do y'all think that's true or false?
I think it's false because people want to be themselves, but they don't know how. But in a way, I do agree that it seems as if people would like to be told what to do because of maybe fear of failure, fear of success, lack of self-esteem, for whatever reason. But I really feel like people would like to control their own lives, but because they haven't, they know nothing else.
Mm-hmm. And I would also like to give out that number again. You could call us at 901-260-5926. And so just based off what you said, Z, about people would like to be free and control their own lives, oftentimes we don't because we're trying to please this person or please that person. And I'm still learning that it's hard to please like every single person. But I do know that at the end of the day, I got to try to please myself because all those emotions and thoughts and stuff, they don't go to anybody else. So that's why I'm on a constant push to try to get myself together first. And so that's really important. Anybody else?
Well, first, we've been, since birth, we've been culturally, socially conditioned. From the day one when you first come out your mom's womb, that you're being delivered to a doctor. That right there first is the starting point of being culturally conditioned. Because the first person the person supposed to see is the mom. But once you go into a doctor's arm, the only reason I'm talking on this part because I'm in the medical field. So
Okay, cool.
So once you get delivered, you're breaking that bond already. say the the kindergarten. You can start off with kindergarten. A lot of people don't know kindergarten is derived from a kid's garden. So the outside influences, the outside world plays in that garden. I mean, you watching TV, you're learning, they say education, but I got another word for education, but it's a lot of things that actually plays into your mind in the first 5 years of your life. So once you get into your adolescence and your teenage years, you're already being culturally conditioned. So then that way we turn and looking for church, and we don't know which way to go. But if you look within and see yourself first, as far as starting with the pineal gland. A lot of people don't know about the pineal gland.
Pineal gland.
Pineal gland. I'm sorry, I can't never pronounce words correctly, but
I know what you're talking about, though.
Third eye.
The third eye, right. Once you open that up, and then you see your left and your right brain, then you'll see a whole nother side of the world.
So I want to go back to what you said about the garden, and I'm realizing just how important those first years of a child's life are, because I have a 2-year-old and almost 5-year-old brother, and I'm constantly trying to protect them from things that I think that they shouldn't know. But at the same time, it's like, who is the ultimate dictator of what you should and what they shouldn't know? Because it's always things that we need to learn. But I think that as a result of conditioning, some of the things that we should teach our children, we might not do it because we don't even know the right way ourselves. And like in the video, they said it could be a result of conditioning. So if a conditioned person is trying to raise a child, then they're going to pass that conditioning on to the child as well. So, Andre, I think you said that people are always after our brains, and they do it in the smallest ways. And so what benefits would it be for people who are, I'll say, the conditioners? What benefits come from conditioning people?
You have a hive mentality at that point. You know, you have no individuality. Everybody's part of the group, and you're easy to control if I can get you to think, feel, and see a certain thing a certain way.
Exactly.
So what do y'all think are the main means of conditioning?
Media.
The
media in all
Food.
sorts.
Food, water.
Yep.
A lot of people don't even know from birth to the age 6.
Everything that you least expect.
You gonna let me talk? No, sorry.
All right, go away.
From birth to the age of 6, our kids lose 20 IQ points just by the water we drink. That is so powerful because water is in everything. You can't make a kid lemonade without being poisoned. 20 points of IQ before the age of 6.
How does it work? 80% of your brain is water. 75% of your body is water. So the water you're taking in turns to your blood.
That kind of sounds like the planet Earth, huh?
You are the universe, and the universe is you.
Oh, so you jump into macrocosm and the microcosm.
Okay, let's deal with it.
All right, well,
That's
I'm listening to everyone, and I think, and I brought some youngsters because I know you're going to all be young, and I wanted them to really talk. You know, I'm almost at a point where I can't come because, see, I want you to actually do the work that you're talking about. And if you're talking about the self in the United States, or if we are a product, you're talking about culture, that some group that actually colonized this place now developed a society. Now you're going to have to go in and figure out what you're talking about with mind control and the whole bit. This whole thing that you're talking about now was started by, as far as the so-called black person who was involved. His name was W.E.B. Du Bois.
right.
He studied a process that was being developed by a guy named Durkheim. Durkheim and others, Maslow and a few others, were actually studying what had been created by Sigmund Freud. I call him Sigmund Freud. All right, I think some of y'all call him Sigmund Freud. And he had a student called Jung, Carl Jung. They were developing a way to see into the psyche. Now we've got to go back and we've got to understand some things that were happening as this whole condition that you're talking about in this place was being created. Now, I've sat here before, and I don't want to get too far away from what you're talking about, the self. So you have to talk about an objective I, or is it subjective I?
Yeah, subjective.
Oh, it is. So then it must be the objective me. So then me must be this body that you are in. So we're going to get to know this thing that is in the body. All right, so I'm communicating with you. Now, the you is both subjective and objective. Is that right? Well, if that's the case, and I think I is always capitalized, me is never capitalized. And so if we're going to really understand this, then the body is the object. I can touch it. But there's something else there that's not necessarily people. It's dealing with the persona, and that's inside of that body.
That's the soul, the spirit.
All right, so if you say soul and spirit, I think you said a spiritus or a spirit. And if I'm not mistaken, we're going to get the breath.
Yes.
And if we get the breath, and what's going to happen is now you're going to get the courage. But see, if you're talking about getting to the self, who was the brother, the clinical psychologist, not Bobby Wright, not Amos Wilson, but was it Naeem Akbar?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Naeem Akbar, the teacher down in Florida, who was actually talking about the community of self. And if we're ever going to have a community of self, that means you've got to do what you're all talking about, find self. How you going to do it? Just as a suggestion, I'm going to ask you, the letter S in Greek, what is it?
Is this a pop quiz?
No, this
my
is real.
semester just ended.
This is
that was
real.
funny.
This is real because I really wanted it in Hebrew, in all the languages, because S is the first letter in self. I think S is sigma in Greek.
Yes.
And we're going to go through all the different languages because we have to understand what S is. But in the African hieroglyphics, I think S is a tooth.
It all go back to a number, to its numerical value in that.
Well, I think that the number value was created to go along with what they were doing, but the Greeks didn't use numbers. The Greek used lowercase alphabets. And what I'm suggesting to you is that if we learn the number value of each letter, of each, and the best way to do it is to learn, I think, what did the Romans come up with? Roman numerals?
right.
And if you compare the Roman numerals to the letters, you can actually follow the letters. Now, how many of the Roman numerals were letters? And what did they stand for?
X.
In value, because he said value. X was what?
Oh,
10?
man, it's a little
So
lesson
then-
today.
So then what is 10?
1.
Or is it 10? It's one and no thing together.
Zero is
and it's
not a number.
reversed. It's reversed. So now you've completed all of the integers and you're starting with other numbers. But if you get into numbers and this thing that they're calling numerology, we're going to have some problems.
No, you're not.
Oh, you're not. You know numerology,
Men
right?
lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Okay, fine.
All right, you guys. I just wanted to open it up to the people out there listening. If y'all would like to join this conversation, you could call us at 901-260-5926. And Mr. Black, you posed a really good question when you said that if we want to get to know yourself, how do you do it? So I want to start us off back with that topic when we get back from break. So y'all start calling us right now, 901-260-5926, and we'll be right back after this break.
My song.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am.
Welcome back to Tell Me More Radio with Tom Shadyac. I'm Jasmine Houston, and today we're talking about knowledge of self. The first segment was pretty cool. Like, it went a lot of different directions, and I'm glad that y'all shared some of y'all opinions and perspectives because a lot of things y'all expressed, I'm also going through myself. And so I just wanted to start the second segment with another question I had from the first video that I played. It says, he said, free doesn't really mean free as long as man acts from his conditioned personality. So my question is, if we're trying to live up to the standards and societal views of how we should lead our lives, are we really free? Or are we in a state of what we talked about on this show previously, mental slavery?
So I don't think that conditioning has to be a bad thing. I think most things in our life are conditioning us for something, and it doesn't even have to be another person. Let's say you do something that causes you a lot of pain, whether that's physical or emotional. You're not going to want to do it again, and that's conditioning too. That's just taking information, you've learned something from it, so in the future you're conditioned to not make the same mistake you made. And I think most, let's say parents, like from a young age, are conditioning their children in whatever moral code that they want to. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. I think education should definitely be encouraging children to ask the right questions, to figure things out on their own. But I don't think at a base root conditioning is a bad thing. So Jasmine, I would say that you can still be free, in my opinion, if you've been conditioned, because I think we're all conditioned every single day.
Well, I agree with you as far as parents are trying to condition their kids to be in have the same moral that they think is good. But the sense of conditioning that I'm talking about is where it said that man is conditioned through culture, society, religion, media, nationalism, education, government, and illusionary beliefs. I'm talking about the negative conditioning where control is being used to get people to think a certain way and to behave a certain way to where they can't be free thinkers, because if everyone lived or sought their own truth, then the people in power wouldn't be able to have control over you. And so I'm talking about the negative side of conditioning. But I get what you're saying about the positive thing too.
Right, she correct, but look at it this way: when you're first born and your parents say a Christian or whatever they believe in, and they take you to get Christian.
Exactly. That's not your choice.
That's not your choice.
That's not your choice.
It's their choice.
Exactly.
And 9 times out of 10, they got it from their parents.
Which wasn't their choice.
So when are you going to have a free will to believe and to find or whatever your choice or your path in life is on your own? A lot of things come from before us.
And it's not even just religion. What was interesting to me about the ways that he said that a person can be conditioned is when I started looking at comparing what's going on here in the U.S. to what's going on in Germany. I remember in one of my film classes, we had to watch a film called Why We Fight. And it was war propaganda to make people think that what's going on over in Germany is really bad. And so we have to kind of go save those people. And so what I saw in those videos was just like the first thing that I just looked at was nationalism. And so they had different people pledging and either like a flag or some other allegiance to a symbol of whatever agenda that they had in their government. And then just as far as media is the biggest one that I've seen for myself personally, because the things that we see on TV really have an influence on our thoughts and how we behave. So that's why I'm not too quick to have my sisters watch like Love and Hip Hop, because I could look at it as entertainment, but they might think that that's how they're supposed to behave themselves as young ladies, and I don't really agree with that. And so also education, that's another form of conditioning, because after just listening to a lot of people's questions and realizing I can't answer them, it shows that education could also be a form of conditioning, because they don't really teach us how to start businesses, how to do our own taxes, none of the things that we have to do. Like I still can't really grasp Social Security, 401ks and things like that. But I've been through 12 years of school and we really don't talk about it. So those are the forms of conditioning I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's true, because we dependent. Everybody belongs to a certain organization, whether it's church, politics. And once you put yourself into an organization, you lose your free will.
That's a good point, Andrew. I'd like to get to some of our callers. Mr. McKinney has been hanging in. Hi, Mr. McKinney.
Yeah, how y'all? I'm gonna cut this radio down.
All right.
You know, McKinney, you can listen through your phone when you call in.
What you say, Mr. McKinney? Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can you hear?
Yes, sir, we're listening.
You hear me a little bit?
We can hear you really well. What you got to share with us?
Bob, okay. I think initially you was talking about leadership in essence, right? You said something like, I think you remember, I may not be paraphrasing you, but look like you were saying something about that, you know, who's could make the decision, you know, who has the, I guess you would say, the initial. Some people just don't have leadership qualities. I put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you got some born leaders. I would go back to Einstein or Dr. King or what's the one in India, Gandhi. Some of your natural leaders. But here's something that's really it's kind of hard to understand. Einstein could not read or something before he was about 7, 8 years old. And yet he, you know,
That's not true.
Well, you can Google it. He wasn't able to
If you
read
Google it or go to your textbook that they gave you in school, you're gonna get the same nonsense that everybody is sitting in this room talking about.
nonsense. This is already documented. He was in Switzerland. He was in Germany, and he went there. He could not, at 4 or 5 years old. You got kids like that now. Could not really read or write.
At 10 years old, Einstein had a dunce hat put on his head because he was bored in a mathematics classroom. The reason he was bored is because he had already studied Euclidean mathematics.
All right,
And the
Mr. Black,
teacher
you gotta let
didn't know it.
Mr. McKinney finish his point so we can get to our next caller.
I will agree to disagree. I want to argue with you. I want no diatribe, okay? Bottom line, he was not. Anyway, the bottom line, he was a leader, okay? And he did split the atom. In fact, you wouldn't have the atomic bomb had it not been for him. So then, but you go over to Gandhi in India, he liberated the Indians from the UK, right?
So,
No.
Miss,
Agree on that. You had Martin Luther King. We was in civil rights. So, you know, on down the line. Then you mentioned W. Du Bois. Yeah.
Du Bois.
He came in. He the first one the first black got a PhD from Harvard. Is that right?
Boulay.
Mr. McKinney, I have a question for you.
I don't want to argue with him, but my point is, we're talking about leadership, right?
No, we're talking about self.
Self.
All them people you named was Boulays too.
Yeah, when you come up, I ain't talking about when you first born. When you come out the womb, that's beside the fact. When you was in first grade, who was the leader in your class?
The teacher.
That
I
was the teacher
suppose.
that was indoctrinated
I
from.
mean, I'm talking about, I'm not talking about a teacher. I'm talking about your classmates. You always have somebody that step forward, has more ability than others, and they have that quality to lead. And I named you, number men that I'm telling you about.
Yes, sir, Miss McKinney, I do.
President Obama probably has it too. But my point is, we said in the military, either one of y'all probably not been in the military, it says lead, follow, or get out the way. Now, young lady, you might use this quote. You want to lead, follow, or get out the way.
All right, thanks, Miss McKinney, for calling in, and please tune in tomorrow. And I really do agree with where I think you were trying to go, that the leader comes from within. So that's what I got from that. We're going to take Father of the Earth. Father of the Earth, what do you have to share with us?
Whole wide world, why you do it?
What's going on? What you got to share with us?
Girl, life is good. I'm right in the middle of dinner, and I'm loving it. Get a chance to take part in the show. And what I have to share is, if anybody know anything about when you was first born, they already had the B-52 airplane already here, probably nuclear stuff. So, I mean, the world been here a while. So, basically, out of that, what I'm saying is when you got here, a society already got a little old shell or mold for you to fit off in. And proof of getting out of the cage is when you disregard the feelings of others. If you're not an antisocial behaviorist, that means I ain't gonna live next door to you, Miss Houston, and cut the doggone radio up at 3:30 in the morning. And you know what I mean? That's antisocial. But it's so many other things that people try to put a control on you that I don't care nothing about at all. Unless you got a knife or a gun, at the most part, man, I ain't studying that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it my way, cause I've been here all the time. You know what I mean? I got an excellent reputation. I done taught the world how to do reading, writing, arithmetic, and I ain't about to take no idiot and let you put me in no shell or whatever. But what I would like to further share is to tell some of these people who would like to sort of put you and mold you your way. Just say if somebody say, "Ooh, Houston, girl, you need to cut your hair down a little bit and wear it to the side."
That's their out,
like that.
and if they listen, that's their outer world. I like to refer to outer world and inner world. But if you tap into your inner world, yourself, your spirit, what you're here for, find that out, and then those outside influences wouldn't bother you as far as your hair and all that.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying to add fun to the situation is I always talk crazy to people. And I mean every word of you. I would tell them like on the hair situation. Say, you know what? I would have did exactly your way, but guess what? The Mississippi River runs through Memphis. If that Tennessee River wants to come through here, girl, I would have bowed down and done everything. But since it don't, no, I'm not going to do a damn thing.
All right, Father of the Earth, I appreciate you for telling us why we have to remain true to ourselves and do what makes us happy. So I really appreciate your call. We're going to take one more quick call before we go to break. We have Adrian. Adrian, you're on the air.
Hey, I just wanted to throw out another perspective on conditioning and giving up self and free will. We are only human because we are taught to be human. We are taught to walk. We are taught to speak. We are taught to read. And so we have got to have some kind of framework in which to grow from that. But that in no way in and of itself limits who we are or what we can be. The trick, I think, is to be able to raise children in a society that encourages questioning and thoughtful answering and fostering not only us as individuals, but what our connection is and our responsibility is to each other. We can't be against everyone all the time and achieve what we need to achieve, nor can we follow the crowd all of the time and be who we really are.
I think so too, Adrienne. I think that we can learn something from every person, even if it's, I've learned that I don't like that perspective, or I think that person is coming from a place of hate. I'm glad that I saw that there's prejudice in the world. Maybe it'll make me work a little bit harder to help erase that. But I think that every person does have something to teach us.
And I think that it's great that we can have these discussions and we can listen to each other and respect the differences of opinion, and that helps us all grow and connect.
All right, Adrian. Well, I really appreciate your perspective always because you add some type of positive influence on my life. So I really appreciate your call, and tune in tomorrow.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, cool. All right, y'all, we're getting ready to take a quick break, and then we'll continue this conversation shortly after. If you would like to join in, call us at 901-260-5926.
Tell Me More with Tom Shadyac is taking your calls now at 901-260-5926. That's 901-260-5926.
Of it all,
All right, y'all, welcome back to Tell Me More Radio with Tom Shadyac. I'm Jasmine Houston, and tonight we've talked about knowledge of self. And so before I forget, I would like to give a shout out to Tom. His birthday is coming up really soon, so I just want to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Yes, and happy birthday, John, Herman, and Juno. I love y'all.
Herman and Juno, happy birthday.
So happy birthday,
birthday,
y'all, and
everybody.
to anybody else that's listening, happy birthday to you. All right, so what I want to do now is play the second clip, and it kind of gives a wrap up of what we've been talking tonight. So Jess, could you please play clip 2?
The necessity to seek truth in oneself in the world and act upon it has to come from oneself. No one can do it for another, and no one can push another to do it, until man himself realizes the precious times we live in. Free will is not really free, as long as man acts from his conditioned personality. People who don't know themselves will continue to live in a self-inflicted prison, a prison without bars and walls, cherishing their leaders as saviors like in the global Stockholm Syndrome, worshipping and defending the ones who keep them imprisoned. They become tools for the Matrix, thinking that they are free, but they're merely reacting mechanically to external influences and accumulated conditioning. No change is going to happen by simply forwarding the newest conspiracy videos, questionable New Age teachings, and dubious channeled material, meditating on love and light, striving for sustainable solutions, or just protesting with some banners and slogans. Yes, some of it can trigger and plant seeds of awareness, but ultimately, change happens only if we change and separate lies from truth, within and without. Only then will we be able to see the world as it is, without filters of denial, wishful thinking, false hopes, and misperceptions because of our corrupted state of being. In order to see the truth in the world, we need to see the truth in ourselves and stop lying to ourselves. Only then will we be able to know what to do and act upon it.
Okay, so that clip was really, really deep to me, and it was cool too. And the first thing that I got from it was that the necessity to seek truth and act upon it has to come from oneself. No one can do it for another person, and no one can push another person to do it. And I told y'all towards the end I was going to get a little more personal. And so that what I just said really, really is true for my situation right now, and I'm learning it more than ever. If I want something to happen, I have to do it myself. Like, if I want to have a better diet, I got to do it myself. And for some reason, I can't get past what I would say conditioning to choose, like, a bag of chips over a banana. Like, stuff like that. And that's another form of conditioning that I think occurs through the media, because we're quick to see a smiling child who has, like, a Happy Meals box in their hand. But when we see vegetables and stuff, it's like, ugh.
We see kids
and so,
yeah.
So
because of color has a big thing to do with it. The colors of yellow, orange, red, though they have a big thing to do with it. Notice majority of your fast food restaurants uses red and yellow. Mm-hmm. Color has a significant thing on how to attract people.
Happy.
And your brain is an associating organ.
Exactly.
It associates you with what you associate it with. So if your thoughts, what I noticed what he said about we're self-inflicting everything upon ourselves, because you, like I said, you're working off electricity and you're switching from electric to magnetic every 2 hours. So the thoughts go out, and this is the Holy See, and it's vibration. Everything works off vibration. So your words have power, your thoughts have power, and they make manifest.
And so that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about intentions. And that's why I'm so big on it, because anything that I want, I know I could get it, because if I thought it, that means like it could already happen just with that thought. And so the journey within is really important. And it's like when you know better and you don't do it, it kind of weighs heavy on me. I don't know about y'all, but it feels more comfortable to be like, oh, everyone else does it, so I'm going to do it. Everyone else goes to McDonald's after school or on their way from church, so let me do it too. So that's just another form of conditioning. And just another thing that I think is prevalent in society is just being negative towards people. Like, a lot of people are happy to see people's downfalls, and it's a lot of competition, greed, and things like that present. And I also think that just comes from the agendas that we are given through society, and it's just to keep us on a more negative route, I think, at times. But it isn't until you start to question things and be curious about the things you're being fed when you start to realize that maybe I am being conditioned in a negative way. And so that's what I was saying earlier about if a parent is feeding these lies and filth to their kids, then it's gonna be continued. But if we all want to move in a positive direction, we got to get what's going on with us on the inside fixed. And so that's what I just been trying to do, like all the time, because it's about energy. And if we know that it's a higher power and we try to deny that it's within us, then maybe we're still blocking ourselves and we can't get out of that self-inflicted prison that he was talking about in the video.
We got go ahead, go on.
Sorry, I'm looking at this quote that's right here in this room. It says, "Finally, I am coming to the conclusion that my highest ambition is to be what I already am." And I absolutely love that. You mentioned us being infinite and our potential, but first we have to see it, and in order to see it, we have to seek it in order to find it. So I guess silence is what's been beneficial for me.
Meditation,
actually silencing those things that distract me. Say, for instance, Facebook, Instagram, because I caught myself, like, I was like, dang, I ain't got no attention in a minute. I was like, why do I care?
Right,
So I was like, nah, let me take a break from that. So I silenced that. I stopped watching TV in 2011.
Me too.
So that I'm not bombarded by a lot of unnecessary things. So a lot of people may look at me and was like, you have a calm disposition, because I'm not stressed out. Like, because
Me either.
I'm not being attacked by the news, the third, fifth person that died today. Like, I'm not being bombarded by that. So silencing distractions have helped me
see different things
come into me.
I get what you're saying, Andre.
I said Proverbs 4:23 said, out of everything guard your heart, for out of them comes the issues of life. And your mind is symbolic for your heart, and you have 7 entries into your mind, which is your mouth, your 2 nostrils, eyes, and ears. So what you just explained is your brain is an associating organ, so you stop associating yourself with the things that was keeping
Killing your brain.
that was just keeping your mind and the chatter in your mind going berserk.
Right.
And we have to quiet our minds, because everything that they're doing is after your mind. Your subconscious mind picks up everything. It don't say this is wrong and this is right. It just picks it up.
Right.
And so subconsciously, you don't even understand you're doing things just off your subconscious mind,
Like
and
the
what you're feeding
challenges.
it.
These challenges are getting absurd. Like, if it can get to the point that more and more people are becoming active in the challenges, it's like, oh, it seems fun. Then it gets to the point where this conditioning becomes control, like, in front of your face. Like, I need them to do this so that they can hurt themselves this kind of way. So
And we are so interconnected to the universe that we create storms on other side of the planet and earthquakes and everything, because we working off this electrical pulse that came through when that sperm hit the egg, and you connected to it. That's why I say that you are the universe and the universe is you. And so by us not understanding through the divide and conquer methods of colonialism and all the warring around the world, we have lost the ancient cultures of knowing thyself. And most pyramids around the planet has know thyself on them. Man, know thyself. And that's all a part of it. You electric and magnetic beings.
So,
Change the frequency.
just as far as myself goes, it's like, y'all know how I said when I know to do better, but I don't. It's because I'm still trying to get rid of that conditioning. The first one was just food, just me trying to be comfortable being me and thinking on my own. And a big thing that is attached to conditioning is when someone tells you or tries to show you a different way of thinking, a sign that you might be conditioned. I'm saying this isn't the ultimate sign, but I'm saying that it could be a sign that you're conditioned, is if you immediately want to negate what they said before you even do it or think about it. And so from the video, he said that there was a problem as well. But I think that when you're able to see life objectively and able to take in different views without being defensive all the time and maybe trying to see someone as a person or figure out why they think the way they do,
That's the ego.
then that could help.
The ego is detrimental.
What do you mean by that?
The ego, the I don't want to listen to nobody else, and what do you mean? I don't want to hear other things. I mean, that's the ego that's taking over.
And I think that a lot of times we just get comfortable with our own set of beliefs where we don't want to hear a different perspective because we've been living our lives a certain way for so long. Mr. Black, you wanted to say something? You got to get right in the mic.
We started out talking about knowing self.
Yes, sir.
And all I hear y'all talking about is belief. And if you start believing things, there's no way that you can get to knowledge. Knowledge is what you want to talk about. And so far, I hear people talking about legends and mythologies and all kinds of things that they think they know about. Now, I also heard someone on one of the videos you're playing say something about work. So what kind of work are we going to do to learn how to understand the things that we're talking about?
I'm applying everything that I state across this mic, sir.
Okay.
So,
The
Mr.
thing, can I say just one thing?
Go ahead.
If you want, the kingdom of God is within you, and he whosoever look within himself shall find it. Everybody keeps talking about all these proverbs and all these hieroglyphs. You're looking outwards. You have to look within. You have to dissolve the ego and the pride. Get rid of it, because you will never have the awakening of the spirit as long as you have it, because that's flesh. All of these thoughts, all of these, this it's all flesh. Until you go within, you will never see your true self. It just won't happen. You can talk about it, but it won't happen. That's why people understand looking within is the only place you can find it. You can sit up there and show me thousands of books you've read, study to show thyself approved, but the answer's inside. That's the only place you will find it. All I can do is point. I can give you a mirror and tell you to look in it and go home and really stare at yourself and really look and find yourself. Dissolve the ego and the pride. That's the only way you can do it.
That was a pretty cool little thought right there. Thank you for that perspective. And so I have another question. So do you guys think that the things that we are thinking inside and projecting through energy and vibrations and waves or whatever is a reflection of our reality? Like, is it just the inside or reflection of the outer world, our reality?
Of course.
Yes.
How so?
Because what's going on inside produces what's going on outside.
But sometimes I might feel like I'm not responsible for kids getting shot and all these.
Everything happens to everybody. They bring everything upon themselves. He said they are self-inflicted wounds because you thought about that and you made manifest. It comes back to you. Everything you think comes back to you.
Not necessarily. State your question again.
Depends on the emotion and the intensity of the vibration that you put the thought or the words out too.
In reference to what you said, Jazz, I do believe in natural selection. I do believe things are going to happen that are uncontrollable. People will die. Bad things will happen to good people. That's the world we live in. I mean, Mother Nature will take thousands of lives, in an instant. There's nothing we can do about that. The only thing you can do is, just focus on making your immediate world better. Okay. You have to start at home, and then you can project to the world.
Can you state your question one more time?
I was just asking if the collective inner, that means me, you, and everybody else's inner, is a reflection of our outer. And that might be a big question for the last 2 minutes, so we might could come back to it, but I just want to see your thoughts on it.
The reason why I said not necessarily is because we conceal a lot of ourselves as well. Like, say for instance, I'm gonna give an example. Say for instance, if I'm depressed and I'm good at hiding stuff,
mm-hmm.
I may seem jolly and happy and checking people and just straight goofy,
mm-hmm.
but I'm depressed.
It will come out later. Your thought is what you speak, and what you speak becomes actions.
Okay. So
opinions.
Z is pondering
Science.
on that.
Subject to your own opinion.
No, the 7 Hermetic principles, which are unmutable laws that do not change, never change. God's laws, or whatever you want to call it, entity with those 7 Hermetic principles do not change. So the laws of duality and correspondence and these things do not change. No matter if you go to the mountain or you go in the sea, it does not change. So
beliefs.
You believe you depressed inside.
Opinions and beliefs.
All right.
Those are beliefs, because
it's not a belief, sir.
Some people don't believe in the same things you do.
True. That's I understand that, but the laws don't change whether it's not a respecter of person.
Well, whose laws are these?
Well, there's laws like laws of cause and effect. whatever you cause, you will get an effect back. That's one of the seven.
That's kind of like the karma thing.
Right. That's one of the seven principles.
But things manifest
if you
differently.
Say Hermetic theory, or if you apply Hermetic theory, you're talking about Hermes. Hermes is an extension of Thoth.
Right.
Thoth came out of Egypt.
Right.
And Thoth was a teacher.
Right.
And he taught, and we get Asclepius. But now understand something. You're
All right,
gonna have
Mr. Black, we're going to have to continue this show because, man, y'all done got me thinking, and we only got about 30 seconds or so, man. I really like having these conversations because they help me get myself together more. And maybe somebody out there listening.
Jasmine.
Yes, sir, I do.
I am
Got to
who
do
I
the
am,
work.
and there is no other.
All right, y'all. So I hope that you all got something from this show. Most importantly, that if you're dealing with something, you should analyze it yourself. Don't try to blame everything on outer influences because most of our problems come from within. And once we can address those problems and figure out the solutions, things probably will get better for us. So y'all tune in to Tell Me More. It's been nice.
Peace and love.
Peace,
Peace and
love,
love.
happiness.
Live.
Serving Tennessee, Mississippi.